So there are 4 types of what we call in the program accumulation blocks, which are hypertrophy specific methods or methods of building muscle mass and tone and definition. And I'm going to introduce you to all 4 of them. So the first one we call the crush block. And a crush block is about trying to crush as many reps as possible into a smaller time as possible. So typically with a crush block, it starts off at 10 sets, which sounds like a lot, but we have quite a short rolling rest in between. They might be supersetted or it might not be. So a typical crush block would be 2 exercises supersetted, 60 seconds rolling rest, 10 sets of 5 or 50 total reps. So you'll see it as a 50. And the first time you do that workout, you just do 10 sets of 5 back to back. You'd pick a weight which was quite light, maybe a 12 or a 14 RM, so something you can do for 12 or 14 reps. So 10 sets of 5. Towards the end, you're starting to feel it, but at no point are you reaching failure. You'll get a bit of a burn. And then the next time you do it, typically would be the next week, you've got to do those 50 reps in less sets if you can. So you'd start off probably on 6. Try and do them all, 6 reps all the way down. If you do it all the way down, you'll obviously do it a set shorter. The week after that, you're still trying to do those 50 reps and you're trying to do them in less sets again, so 7. You don't have to do the same amount of reps in every set. So there's partly a judgment call here when you're doing it. So you're trying to learn the limits of your body. You might on the first couple of sets do 8 reps, but you should always stay away from going to failure, because as soon as you start approaching failure on those early sets, that'll really knock down your ability later on. You'll just fatigue too fast. So you might do 8 reps on the first 2 or 3 sets, then drop it down to 7, 6, 5. When you get to 50, that's the end of it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to crush those 50 reps over the weeks into less and less sets. Because you've got that rolling rest in between, you're doing it in less time each time. So you're increasing your work capacity. If it's one exercise on its own, it's not supersetted. Typically the rolling rest might be a little bit longer. So you might do this with squats, which is a pretty harsh way of doing it. But we normally use quite a light weight, and it might be 90 or 120 seconds rolling rest. You've just got one exercise, and you're coming back to it each time. 10 sets of 5 on squats or 50 total reps. And that is the crush block that we use. The second type of accumulation work we do, or blocks, is an extend block. We call it extend because we're trying to add reps to it. You'll start off with typically 5 sets of 5 reps. And if you manage to do all 5 sets of 5, the next week you start on 6 reps and you try and do 5 sets of 6. If you do all the sets of 6, the week after that it's 7 and then 8, and it just keeps going up. If you manage to do all those 5 sets and you hit that rep number on the last one, it goes up the next week. If you were to do 7, 7, 6, 5, doesn't go up, the next week you try and do 5 sets of 7. And that's the extend. We're only adding reps. We're not increasing the weight and we're not increasing the sets. We're just trying to add reps each week. So the third type of accumulation block we're going to use is a build block. And with the build block, we're actually looking to add sets. So we've had the crush, where we're trying to do reps in less time. We've had the extend, where we're trying to add reps. Now we've got build, where we're trying to add sets. The weight stays the same, the reps stay the same, and each week we're adding another set. You're trying to match, obviously, the same weight and reps. So you could have 3 sets of 8. Next week you try and do 4 sets of 8. Next week you try and do 5 sets of 8. And that's the build block. So the fourth and final accumulation block is the force block. That's what we call it, force. We call it force because you're trying to add more weight. You're trying to develop more force in it. Sets and reps stay the same. If we hit those sets and reps threshold each week, we increase the weight. We try and pick exercises for this where the weight doesn't go up an awful lot, where you can increase it by kilos here or there or half kilos, or just make it slightly harder each time. But that's the force block. Sets and reps stay the same. We try and get the weight to go up.